you all on this evening. I'm not going to keep you very long, but tonight I have the opportunity to speak to you about a few things. I'm going to share my screen now and I'll start. Thank you. So I am going to be presenting on Inside the Mind, entrepreneur and creating healthy relationships. As my beautiful sister Janita said, I am Teriece Cherell, also known as Hollywood from New Orleans. I will be speaking about manifesting your purpose. Let me move this forward. Manifesting your purpose, becoming an author, and creating healthy relationships. So I'm going to share a few gems on tonight in that segment with you all. A little bit about myself. I am born and raised in New Orleans, Louisiana. I have BA in political science pre-law, as well as a master's in business administration. I am the mother of one beautiful daughter, Tiana. I am the author of Live, Learn, Love with an Open Heart. And I also have some other projects that I'm currently working on, so definitely stay tuned. I am also an educator. I'm a high school teacher here in New Orleans, Louisiana. I'm also a motivational speaker and certified life and relationship coach. Manifesting your purpose. We're going to talk about discovering your purpose, embracing your purpose, and living in your purpose. I have a quote that I'm going to share with you all. TD Jakes. If you can't figure out your purpose, figure out your passion. For your passion will lead you right into your purpose. And that's a quote from Bishop TD Jakes. And I want you all to think for a moment about your purpose, if you know what it is or have any ideas. And I'm going to help you if you do not, because purpose is something that each of us has. We know that everyone's was created by God on purpose and for a purpose, but sometimes we aren't always sure what our purpose is in life. But by the end of this segment tonight, if you do not know, you at least have an idea, and we'll make sure that you consult with the creator, the one who gave you that purpose, to make sure that you are on track. Finding your purpose. So some of us can find our purpose early, or some of us may find it later in life. When you find it isn't as important as you finding it, because we all have one. When you discover your purpose, you can truly start living your best life. Everything else is just practice, warm-up sessions. So sometimes, oftentimes, some of us, or even many of us, go through life just trying to figure out why we're here. We know that we were created to do something bigger and better. There's a lot of things that we may like to do, but we aren't really sure what our purpose is. In a previous slide, I speak about your passion. I'm leading you to your purpose. And oftentimes that's what it does. And I'm talking about the thing that you were created to do, the thing that you were born to do, the very reason that God placed you here on your earth. That's your purpose. Now, your passion are things that you may do well, things that you may like to do. And when I speak about things that I'm passionate about, I think about those things that keep us up late, have us waking up early, sleepless nights. That's going to keep you focused, driven, relative to achieving your goals. And without purpose, life has no meaning. Our purpose isn't always necessarily just for us. You know, we think about what is our purpose, but I believe that purpose is something that God gives you or ordains you to do, but it's tied to blessing others, to helping others. It's not something that we're selfish with, because we're only the people that are going to benefit from our purpose. Oftentimes, the purpose that we have will include sacrifices that we'll have to make, that will actually make life and situations better for other people. But it is our purpose, but it is tied to other people. There is no greater feeling than living a purpose-driven, a purpose-filled life. So when I think about my purpose, I think about a few years ago when I was at this place in about 2018, trying to figure out exactly what my purpose was. There were some things that I like to do, I love to do, but was it really my purpose? Was it really the thing that God put me on this earth to do? And I thought about childhood, and growing up previously about the things that I was passionate about. And it all kind of tied into what I'm doing now, teaching, educating on different things and at different levels. So I believe that that is a part of my purpose, but I had to go through something to get to it. Sometimes, like I said, some people discover it earlier in life, and some people may figure it out later in life. But when you do figure it out, when you do consult with God, when you do place yourself in that position to know that your purpose is, and you begin to walk in it and live in it, you will truly begin to start living a life that you've always wanted to live. Everything will start to fall into place. Other opportunities will arise. You'll be connected with people, and you'll begin to network and make sure that you are in alignment with God's will, word, and way. All right. The other aspect for me for purpose was being an author. I believe that everyone has a story to tell. So, what's your story? Finding your voice and being confident. I'm going to give you some writing tips and strategies, and I'm going to speak to you about the open doors as an author. So, when you think about being an author, you think about writing. I believe that everyone has a story to tell. We all have gone through things in life, so we've all experienced things, both good, bad, and indifferent. So, that alone, to me, makes you able to write a book on a particular thing, something you've gone through, something you've currently gone through, or something you've known someone else to have gone through. So the thing about it is there's what, hundreds, maybe millions or billions of authors in the world, and no one is like you. So that means no one has your story. Even if they experience something similar to what you've gone through, they're still a different person. So they have a different perspective on that experience, even if it was similar. So everyone has something to share, something to tell that will ultimately bless and help others. So the reason that I became an author in the first place, outside of sharing my experiences, my book is about relationships, creating and maintaining healthy relationships, but not just one particular type of relationship. So in my book, I speak about different types of relationships with your family, your friends, your finances, the relationship with your partner, spouse, your faith, even the relationship with yourself. So knowing these different things that I've gone through, that I've experienced with these different relationships in different categories, and I just wanted to share some of the lessons that I've learned. I believe that relationships are the biggest lessons and blessings of life. And through our relationships, we discover who we are. So when you think about the relationships that you are currently in or have been in, because we're all in some type of relationship all the time, just think about the different experiences, the different things that you've learned from these individuals, as well as the different things that you have taught these individuals. So that's a part of your experiences. And oftentimes we go through things, and I know that you may have heard, we go through things not for ourselves, but for other people. So even if it wasn't the best of a relationship or the best of an experience, there was something that you learned that hopefully you'll take with you into the next one, that you can share with someone to make you better for the next one. It can also keep someone from possibly making that same mistake and going through that same situation if they are careful and listen. That's a part of sharing your story. If you don't share it, then they won't know, and you won't technically be able to save them, or at least provide them some insight, inspiration, motivation, or hope to know that you're not the only person going through this. I've been through this before, or something similar. I made it just fine. You're going to be okay. So usually, or that's the reason why I did mine, to give people hope and inspiration about their relationships. Excuse me. Even the ones that don't work out, there's still something that you learn. There is still something that you taught. There is still something that you can gain from that relationship or experience and be better for it in the end. Finding your voice and being confident. That's your story, and no one can tell your story like you. So when you decide, if and when you decide to do that, make sure that you're confident. There's nothing to be ashamed about. You may have some scars and bumps and bruises, but they are yours, and there's a story behind them. So don't be afraid, don't be ashamed, be bold, be you. Just tell it the way only you can tell it. What they say, get it from the horse's mouth. You don't need anybody else to tell your story because they're gonna leave out some things, add some things. It's your story. You want to tell it. If you want to share, then you definitely have the opportunity to do that. Writing tips and strategies. I would say there is no right or wrong way to write. Just do it. Just start. Whether you're jotting it down in a notebook, I have my phone. So whether I'm in the grocery store making groceries, that's what we say in New Orleans, making groceries. Um, Walking at the bank, wherever you are, most of us carry our phone. So in a note section, I jot down notes, things that are on my mind relative to something that I may want to write. I may not be able to do it at that particular time, but just jot the note down and I can go back and expand and expound on it later. That way I won't lose a frame or track of mind about what I wanted to write about, because obviously it's something that I want to share and that will bless the readers when I get to that point. For me, I like a certain atmosphere or environment. I love music, whether it's a nice, smooth jazz, R&B instrumental, whether it's my gospel, inspirational. Just find something that works for you, and you'll know what works for you. You may have to try a few things, but for me, I love music. I like a nice, quiet place. I like nature. So sometimes I go to the park. Maybe I go to a coffee shop just to, have a change of scenery. I like to sit outside on the balcony with my table. I like to, I like my candles if I'm inside. So do something that's inviting for you that kind of sets the mood or the tone for your writing. It needs to be a space that's comfortable. It needs to be something that will allow your creativity to flow. And try a few different things. As I said, you might find that you write better around people where you have a little more noise. You don't have to be shut off from the world. For me, initially, I like quiet, wee hours of the morning, 2:30, 3 o'clock. Music is low, no one's awake, it's only me, very quiet. Put on my music, my candle, and I just flow, I just vibe, I just release everything that's on my mind or in my heart that I want to write about. Also, when you're writing, being an author, don't try to edit as you go along. Don't try to edit for grammar and spelling and punctuation. Just write it out. Just get as much as you want to in that moment, because there is something called writer's block, and there will be moments when you aren't able to write a paragraph. You can set a timeline for how many words you want to write a day. I don't necessarily do that all the time. I just write as I'm inspired, whether it's something I've heard or listened to or read. And then there'll be moments when I don't write for days. But when I get that inspiration, I definitely make sure that I jot it down in my phone. If I'm not at my computer, I take my notebook or sticky or whatever I have, because I don't want to lose that thought at the moment. I also find that I get a lot of inspiration when I'm taking a shower. I don't know if it's something about the water, but a lot of ideas and things flow in my mind at that time. And it's really good, y'all. I mean, it's really good things. So of course I can't write it down at that particular time, but I do bring my phone in there. Something that I found myself doing lately is voice record. So if I'm in a car or walking at the park, I have my phone, which we pretty much always carry with us. I'm just walking and talking. It's always something I can go back and text later, always something I can go back and type later, just making sure that I have that thought and I don't lose it, because you never want to lose that thought. It may come back to you later, but never like it was that first time. It may come back better, but sometimes it's something about that first initial thought when you get that epiphany or that revelation that this is it, and you definitely want to keep it. Find a topic that's interesting to you, or go back to your life experience, something that you've experienced. So I'm currently working on a book dealing with grief. My father passed a few months ago, and it was something that I felt like I wanted to write about. We deal with grief. There's different forms of grief, and in light of everything that's happened within the past few years with COVID, with natural disasters, with racial inequalities and social injustices. I just felt like we've all experienced grief in some way, shape, or form. And I wanted to share my experiences because there is hope. I wanted to encourage people that even in the midst of what they're going through, that it will and it can get better. That, there's still something that you need to do. So that was a personal experience that I recently went through that I wanted to write about. Wasn't necessarily something I was interested in, but because I experienced it, I did have an opinion on it. And I did want to share my story to encourage other people who may be dealing with something similar, um, relative to grief. So definitely, I think when it comes from a personal place, something that you've actually gone through or experienced, and you're sharing that story, I think more people can connect or relate to it. Um, it's not just a story, you telling, and nothing's wrong with that. But if you want, for me, I find that people connect and relate to things that are more personal because they know that someone else is going through it or has been through it. So they're more able to be ready to connect or talk. It may help them talk about it. If they've gone through something. It's also very therapeutic to write as well, whether you're journaling um or you want to write a book. Oftentimes for me, it just started as journaling, jotting some things down, but also that went in line with my purpose, wanting to help people, wanting to teach people, wanting to encourage, motivate, and inspire people about life, really, but specifically relationships, because I am a relationship coach. Something else I've noticed, being an author has definitely opened doors. So I didn't start out as a speaker or a life or relationship coach. I became an author first. And that opened the doors and gave me opportunities to do other things such as speak, hosting book clubs, being on panels, being at conferences, being at different places, because when you become an author, you are considered an authority on that particular topic, an expert on it, or you're becoming an expert. So people that are having conferences or events on that particular topic, you're sought out, you're on social media, you're making sure that you're putting yourself out there, you're doing events, you're visible. The buzz is going around, he heard about you, somebody read your book. Oh, I read this book. Why don't you check it out? Then they know somebody, word of mouth is great. Oh, are you doing this? But make sure that you put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. You wrote this book, you did it, you put in the time, you put in the effort. Celebrate yourself. Do this. This is your baby. This is your thing. So make sure that you are putting yourself in those places where you are visible, that people will start to seek you out. Initially, there'll be some things that you'll just be doing, but they can eventually lead to paid opportunities. Networking is a great networking tool. People are always looking for somebody to speak about something or know somebody about a particular topic. So it definitely can open doors to businesses, but make sure that you are always perfecting yourself in your craft. Because after I became an author, I could have stopped there. Some people write a book and that's great. But for me, I was like, what next? What now? And you should always think about what next month, what now after you achieve a goal. What else can I do? What else can this lead to? Not necessarily just from the standpoint of making money, but still pursuing your purpose, still helping others, still being able to share, and all of those things will come into alignment. And then you'll be able to do those things because the opportunities will arise. Trust me. All right. Maya Angelou. There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside of you. That's a quote from Maya Angelou. So if there are any um, future authors or people that are considering being an author, a writer, or sharing your story, that's your inspiration and motivation right there. That's your push. Think about the untold story inside of you. Think about the people whose lives that are attached to you. Think about the lessons that you've learned and the people that you can help just from sharing that story. That will help them want to share their story. It's like a domino effect, I believe. Once you feel free to share yours, you give people the freedom and the inspiration and motivation that they need to share theirs, because some people are afraid and they may not want to because they may not know how or not know how it's going to be received. But when they see you doing it, that may give them the inspiration that they need. Well, if she can do it, I can do it too. And definitely make yourself available to help out if you're able to. Lastly, I'm going to speak about building healthy relationships. And I believe that this is all a part of your purpose. And this is all a part of being an author, making sure that you understand that there are different types of relationships. So we're not just speaking about relationships from the romantic perspective. We're speaking about familial, casual, platonic, romantic, and professional relationships, making sure that the relationships that you seek to develop are healthy and mutually beneficial, making sure that you understand that there are elements of healthy relationships. There is no one size fits all to relationships, but you have to do what's right for your relationship. But with the elements, I'm speaking of communication. We know that communication is the key. That's probably one of the most important elements of a healthy relationship, no matter what category it falls in. Honesty, trust, loyalty, commitment, sacrifice, support. Those are all elements of healthy relationships. And like I said, they're very multifaceted and there are tons and tons. But you have to know what your relationships require. You may need more or less. So it's not you need the same amount in every particular relationship, because not all relationships are created equally. But when you know yourself and you know that relationship that you're engaging in and you know that person, you'll know or at least have an idea of exactly what that relationship needs relative to the elements. I believe that they need all the elements or at least some part of the elements, but definitely whether it's a business relationship or romantic or family, you're going to need to communicate. You're going to need to have some mutual respect. There's going to be some forgiveness. There's going to be some honesty. So make sure that you are incorporating the elements that you need in these relationships that you seek to find yourself engaging in. Be a team player. That means making sure that you remember that it's not all about you, but there are other people that are in that relationship with you. My fellow queen, Sister Janita right here, definitely a team player. That's why I'm here. We just had our conference. I wasn't able to make it. She reached out to me. Hey, you weren't able to make the conference. Can you speak for our virtual empowerment session? Of course. Being able to recognize the strengths in others and giving them the opportunity to be able to do that thing. That's a part of being a team player. Remember, there's no I in team, but together everyone achieves more. So everyone has a purpose. Everyone has a place on a team and all parts are needed. You need every part. One person cannot carry the whole team by themselves because there's going to be some areas that they lack in. So just make sure that when you're building and creating these relationships, that you acknowledge and appreciate that everyone has a role, everyone has a part to play, and allow them to do that, and they'll allow you to do yours. So just a brief summary, I talked about purpose and how important it is to know your purpose. And even if you don't, there's still time. As long as you are still living, then you still have an opportunity to find your purpose if you have not discovered it as of yet. But when you do, make sure that you embrace it, make sure that you live in it, and you will live a purpose-filled and purpose-driven life. And you and all the people around you attached to you and connected to you will be the better for it. When you become an author, use that as an opportunity to not only share your story, but for other streams of income to open up other doors. Become a speaker if that's your thing. Become a coach if that's your thing. You're using your book or you're using that particular avenue to help others. Like I said, author first, speaker, then coach. And continue to allow it to open up doors. Now educate. Didn't have anything to do with my book, but it's still in line with educating people. It's still in line with helping people. So it's all relative and it's all relevant. And make sure that when you build relationships, that they're healthy and mutually beneficial, that there's no one size fits all, and that you do what's necessary for you in that relationship. But definitely make sure that you sit down with that other party to make sure that you're doing what you need for your relationship so that you can get the most of it, so that you can not only get from it, but that you can give to it as well. These are just some ways to contact me. I provided my website. my phone number as well as my social media. You can find me on Instagram or Facebook, or you can just check out my website. There's a contact me form as well. And the most important thing is the way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing. So stop talking about it and start doing it. And thank you for your time. And that is Walt Disney. I'm going to turn it back over to Janita.
Wow, that was powerful. Now that was knowledge, Queen. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. Anyone that's in a Zoom room, if you guys have any questions for Arthur Teriece, please unmute your line. Let's go ahead and ask some questions. I can probably take 2 or 3 questions so it can be, within the time frames. So does anyone have any questions for Teriece Cherell? Don't be shy. Okay, you guys are just taking the nuggets. I love it. That's fine. That's perfect. Okay, so Queen, thank you so much. It is such a pleasure to always, bounce off of you. I'm always listening. And for some reason, I don't know if it's a Virgo thing or what, but by the way, happy birthday to you and I, an early birthday celebration for us. Yes, I'm September the 4th, Virgo. She's September the 5th. So I want to just go ahead and say happy birthday, sis. So we are kicking off our birthday celebration with this 2-day summit. We are going to have another powerful speaker tomorrow as well. So I am so grateful to have you in this 2-day summit. Welcome everyone in the Zoom room. Again, I am ready to get started with my presentation. And I want to just say this, Teriece, because for some reason we always think so much alike. Now, I'm going to talk about the purpose-driven of life as well, too. And the things that I bring up is going to it's going to be in alignment of what you said. And again, here we go. We both did not speak about our PowerPoint presentation, what we're going to be presenting, but that lets you know that we are in alignment, right? We are in alignment. So let me go ahead and share. Okay, let's get started. Please let me know if you guys can see my screen. Just give me a yes. Okay. Not sure who's talking, but I am going to assume that you guys can hear me. Let me see. I feel like, let me stop my okay, can I get some thumbs up? Are you guys able to see my screen? Yeah, let me see. Okay, awesome. Okay, thank you. Welcome. My name is Janita, AKA Coach Lady J. As I mentioned earlier, this is day 1 of the virtual summit with my queen, Teriece Cherell. So I'm going to go ahead and repeat what I discussed earlier. We're going to talk about SistahCode Landscape. SistahCode was founded in 2019. It was founded by me as the founder. I have beautiful queens that's on the platform supporting this vision as well. Our vision is to go out there and uplift, encourage, and inspire. What we are doing for this year and moving forward, we are going to drop gems quarterly. On a quarterly basis. We're not going to do the monthly. It's going to be every quarter. So ladies, if you are ready for some gems, please make sure you are looking out for the invites because we are dropping gems every quarter. This is a background of who I am. I am the founder of SistahCode Network, also the CEO of SistahCode Enterprise Incorporation. I have over 15 years of management and leadership in the corporate world. Really in the healthcare industry. My first business that I did in my 20s was a sole proprietor. Now, being 20 years old, you not knowing that this is not really a real business, all you know is you trying to learn. I was just hungry for knowledge. I was hungry to learn, to understand. So in my early 20s, my first business was a lingerie business. It was called Sexy Lingerie. It was an online store, an online business. Actually, I remember when we had the 1-hour photo place out back then, me and the girls would go down there and take pictures in the lingerie, upload it. I would go downtown, get my products, my inventory from downtown. But being that young and understanding that concept took me a long way. Also, I'm a mentor and a coach. As well, if you want to visit me on the website, you can go to SistahCode.com or MySistahCode.com. So that is my overall background. Again, been in the management and leadership position for a long time. Still working in the corporate world, but also have my own business as well. So I am wearing multiple crowns. So when you hear us say crown on, are we wearing multiple crowns? This is the reason why. So we substitute those crowns for hats. We don't use the word hats. We say, look, we are wearing more than one crown. Okay, so as I mentioned earlier, ladies, I said earlier that Teriece said some of the things I was going to touch on. And again, when you know you are in alignment with God's purpose and his vision for you, that means that we are speaking some real gems. Now, the beginning of purpose-driven life is, first of all, you want to make sure that you have a connection with God. God is first. Remember, your purpose-driven life comes from God. God is the creator. He is the reason why we are here. That is part of our purpose-driven life. First, once you understand that, then you want to be able to understand who you are. Do self-care, do a self-evaluation, go back and understand who you are so you can be able to connect more with others. You cannot connect with other people if you're not able to understand who you are and understand your purpose. What is your purpose? We all have different purpose in life, and that's fine, but learn how to connect and tap into your purpose. One thing she mentioned too, you want to make sure you're not selfish, be selfless and be willing. You have to be willing. Whatever that purpose is, believe me, you must be willing to fulfill that purpose. You must be selfless to fulfill your purpose. Also, you must have a visionary mindset. If you understand what I'm doing, I'm speaking in general because I don't know your purpose, but guess what? Each one of these bullets can tie into your purpose. So be selfless, be willing, have a visionary mindset, focus on positive impacts, produce fruit, good fruits. You don't want to be producing no bad fruits. They say reap what you sow, right? Or you sow what you reap, I'm sorry. So you want to be really careful of what you're picking up. Be careful what you're planting. Be teachable. Never feel like you're too old and you cannot learn anything. That is not part of your purpose. Don't hate, don't be envy. Once you have that hate array, it's going to be really hard for you to focus on the purpose driven of your life because you're too busy hating on the next queen. Do not hate on your sister. Do not hate on your brother. Learn how to be open, receive, be teachable, and don't allow your past to direct your future. If we're too busy living in the past, how can we fulfill the purpose of our life? So those are just some thumbnails, some overview of what I consider my purpose driven, what I consider what we can all do to understand and to achieve it. So again, connect with God. It always starts with God first. Understand who you are, understand your purpose, be selfless, be willing, and have a visionary mindset. Don't want to go into too many details, but I'm praying that you guys do get this concept. So let's move over to the next slide. Now, my purpose-driven matrix, this is something that I created. My purpose-driven matrix is first, when I said living for God, we got to make sure we have that connection with God. So we are living for God on earth. We are here to fulfill the purpose. And once you fulfill the purpose, you need to take action. Take action of that purpose. She mentioned about being an author. You have to take action. And when you take an action for your purpose, you got to be fearless, which means that if a person thinks you cocky or they just think you too much in a bag of chips, oh, well, that means that you have confidence to fulfill your purpose. Let's move on to the next slide. Now, I mentioned about being, take action. Now I want to talk about the exercise of the power of taking that action. So being the action taker, right? Being an action taker means that you want to plan things in advance. Sometimes I know things happen, like if you have emergency call for a meeting, or you got to meet with the client, or you have a proposal to have a contract with a vendor, whatever the scenario may be. Sometimes things does not allow you to be in preparation or plan things in advance. But guess what? Once you continue to do this and you are open, it's going to be so easy for you to step out on faith and talk to your potential client and talk to your vendor and talk that you know what you're speaking about, because guess what? You walk by faith and not by sight. So when you speak things into atmosphere and you speak it into existence, guess what? It manifests. Manifestation, right? So keep a journal with you at all times. Remove task, postpone, I'm sorry, 3 times. If you've been postponing and you like, well, let me just go ahead and cancel, let's do it next week, something is not right. Maybe you need to evaluate that. Maybe you don't need to put that on your action plan. Maybe that's something that you don't need to consider. So anytime you have to postpone something 3 times or more, go back and reevaluate that project or whatever the case may be. If it's something that you want to do and you got to continue to postpone it, go back to reevaluate, see what you need to do so you can have more confidence to execute. Now, this is what I need to work on. I'm very honest. I'm very authentic. I try not to fake the funk because I want you to know the real me. Be on time. Now, consistent, I'm consistent, but I'm never on time. So that's something that I need to work on really not when it comes to my business, because my business is totally different. But if I'm going to a gathering or we doing something as a girl situation or meet with family, maybe I'm a few minutes late, 30 minutes late, but if it's business, I'm on time. But being on time for personal, yes, I do need to work on that. Professional, it's a totally different story. Take accountability. Taking accountability means that you are able to say, you know what, I hold myself accountable for that. Don't pinpoint the fingers on the next person. When you see something that was probably not done accurately and you know that you could have did it better, don't be so quick to blame the next person. Always take accountability as a leader. And this is really for leaders, because I know a lot of times people in a position where if they don't have the leadership, we're so, and I say we because I don't like to pinpoint people, but people always like to, blame the next person. But as being a leader, you will hear leaders say, you know what, I accept accountability, because that leader has that leadership module. It's just something in us where we know, you know what, I know that Jane Doe didn't do it right, but I'm going to accept this. I'm going to accept accountability for Jane Doe behalf, because guess what? I had oversight or I had leadership. So I'm going to take that accountability, but I will talk to Jane Doe about it. But I'm going to also say, you know what? I accept the accountability for that project dropping. So remember to hold yourself accountable as leaders. And I'm speaking about leaders right now. I'm not speaking right now. My PowerPoint presentation is for leaders. And I consider anyone that's watching, anyone that's in a Zoom boom room, I'm sure that you guys are leaders, or you guys are trying to take yourself to that next level. So I'm speaking in regards as a leader right now, as not as a person that's working for someone that want to become a leader and want to be able to work for themselves. So that's who I'm talking to. That's my audience right now. Understand your strengths and weaknesses. You want to be able to understand the things that you can do without any type of deficiencies, and you want to understand things that you cannot do. You want to be able to be honest with yourself. Transparent is really important, because once you're honest, you can be able to take yourself to the next level, because guess what? You are able to identify those gaps when it comes to anything that you're working on, your project, your business, talking to your clients, talking to our audience, doing a presentation, whatever the case may be. You can be able to go back and say, you know what, the next time I'm going to do much better in this area. Very important to be a goal getter. I didn't say gold, I said goal getter. And you want to be able to go reach for your goals. Sometimes as leaders, as people that's determined, we up all night, we working all day. Prime example, I'm off today, I'm off tomorrow, but guess what? I'm still working. This is considered to be work, but it's work of things that I love to do. So being a goal getter is going to definitely help you out and take you to the next level. Okay. Be honest and transparent. I mentioned that. So let's move over to the next slide. Business development. So this is where I want to talk about business development. So again, I'm speaking to leaders. I'm speaking to people that want to take themselves to the next level. Business development, the first thing you want to do, you want to conduct the research. Anyone that's in this Zoom boom room, the first thing you did before you took that business deal, and I'm sure you did it, you went to go do your research. You said, wait a minute, before I become a consultant, counseling doctors or training doctors, or let's go back, or being an author, I'm gonna go out there and do my research first. What does it take to become an author? What does it take to become a mentor, to become a coach, to be a consultant? You are going to do your research. So before you jump into any business, do research, plan and execute. That is really important. Plan, execute. Don't plan and sit on your plan for 2 or 3 years. I remember when I spoke about the women's conference and I said, let's do a women's conference. We need to do this. And my mind is always set on execution. I can speak on it because I'm trying to make sure it comes to existing. I'm just blocking everything else because I need to make sure that I'm standing on my word, that I'm executing my plans. Manifestation is really important. If you're not at that level, you want to go back and reevaluate yourself and learn the power of manifestation. Teriece said this earlier, you want to be able to attend like different seminars and also business clubs, attend things that you can educate yourself. This is a perfect example of people attending to these virtual conferences and just to learn information. I am so quick to listen, to learn, to receive. If you give me a free virtual seminar, believe me, I am there. And it's virtual, I'm there. Because guess what? That's more gems for me. So be prepared to know how to attend to different seminars that's going to really elevate you to the next level. So you want to be able to take that elevation. Remember, it's like in order to elevate, you got to separate, right? So you're going to be moving right while everybody else is moving left. Always try to move in the opposite direction. That's one thing I learned about leaders. When you elevate yourself to the next level, learn how to move in the opposite direction. Be strategic. You want to know how to be strategic. If you see someone that's working on something, you analyze that, look into it, and come up with a different plan. Remember, you want to go right, not left. Set goals, have leadership skills, and push. Remember to always push. If you have that energy to push, you can take yourself to the next level. Now, responsibility as a leader. I mentioned about plan a strategy, drive resources, leverage professional and personal skills. Sometimes your personal skills does have to interact with your leadership because sometimes you do got to be passionate. Sometimes you do have to understand why the next person cannot meet that certain quota or that certain expectation that you are delivering. So sometimes you do have to become personal, but you got to also remain professional as well. So you got to know how to wear 2 different crowns and know when to wear those crowns. Goal setting, I mentioned that several times, having goals, accountability, delegates. We all have to delegate. That's something that as leaders, I can speak for myself as leaders, as a leader, in my professional world as well, when I managed a team, I had to learn that at an early age. In my late 20s, I had to learn how to delegate to my team members in order for my team to be successful. Not me, but my team to be successful, in order for people to know that my team can do it. So you got to know how to delegate. Identify gaps. Identify any gaps that you notice that is disconnecting your plan or your strategy. So you want to be able to identify those gaps and come up with an analysis. Again, I know I'm speaking at a leadership level because I'm speaking for you ladies and anyone that's listening to rise yourself up as a leader. Again, push to win. Time management as leaders is very, very important. I keep saying and thinking probably 2 slides so far, plan your schedule. Be productive. Overcome procrastination. That is me. Sometimes I don't want to do it. I know earlier I was so exhausted. Oh, I didn't feel so well, but guess what? I have to do this. Didn't have the energy, but I have to do this. We want to overcome that because once you overcome procrastination, that means that you are taking yourself to the next level. Don't have no excuses for yourself. handle, and I didn't read or spell that correctly, but you want to handle unexpected barriers. Handle them. Barriers going to come your way. You're going to have things that's going to try to come your way, and it's going to come so fast, right? It's like playing baseball. They're throwing the ball, you're trying to hit it with the bats. But guess what? You better continue to hit, or unless you're going to strike out. So you continue to hit that bat, to hit that ball, so you won't strike out. So always have that determination and have that go-getter, and just be confident of what you're doing. Stand tall with it. Work smarter, not harder. This is something that I learned in the corporate world. So a lot of things that I speak about, because I learned this in the corporate world at a young age. And that's why I'm able to implement this in any business that I create or execute, because I have the background of what corporate world does to make sure that their team and their organization is successful. So you want to work smarter and not harder. You don't want to work on a project for 20 hours and you can probably come up with a report that's going to give you the answers to what you're looking for, because once you build a report and you build a formula, it's going to give you the calculation of what you need and the outcome. So you want to work smarter and not harder. Build systems, build structures. That was the next one. Again, push to win. Now, these are my 5 Ps. My 5 Ps are: be professional, stay positive. Sometimes people ask me, you always are. I had one coworker of mine say, Janita, you always look at things optimistic. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I do that because I know my plans. I know my purpose. Again, when you understand your purpose, you're going to stay positive. Although you're going to receive those negative energy, but you're going to try your best to stay positive, because guess what? You are fulfilling a purpose. It goes back to the purpose driven of your life. Understand the purpose. What is your priority? Creating your productivity journal. And these are my P's and push to win: professional, positive, priority, productivity was an underline, and push. Your 5 P's. Okay, awesome. Good timing. Okay, so that is it. So that's the end of my PowerPoint presentation. And again, I want you queens to know that if you set your mind to something, you can deliver and you can do it. But you have to be focused and you have to really take things serious. Remember, there's nothing too hard. There's nothing too hard. And I speak life. And I speak with motivation. I probably speak with bossiness. I'm gonna use that word, Reese, but you gotta speak in that term so people can know that they can do it. So at this time, queens, do you have any questions for me? Crown on. Okay, so we don't have any questions. So Miss Reese, I am going to let you close us out, queen. And we can close out with, I didn't check the chat, but we can close out with prayer.